I feel like I owe all the other Minecraft Dungeon DLCs an apology. When playing through each of them, I always found something that needed to be improved for the franchise. I became a bit of a negative Nelly of sorts. However, each and every one of them truly brought an interesting, new, and often vibrant world to explore. And I took that for granted. So why the sudden change of heart on all the other 5 DLCs? Yeah, that'll do it. Before we get too far into Echoing Void, welcome to the Ogles channel. Thank you so much for watching today. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to click the subscribe button down below for your latest in gaming news, reviews, content, and of course, obviously, all the Minecraft DLCs. And it's sort of sad to say, this is the final DLC for Minecraft Dungeons. Unless, of course, they decide to make more, which they said they wouldn't. But who knows? We know companies enjoy their But let's get back into breaking down the final Minecraft Dungeons DLC, the Echoing Void. I'll go ahead and start off with my core thoughts and we'll delve into all the specifics, but I really do not think Echoing Void is a good DLC. And one of the main reasons behind that is it doesn't feel like an actual new area to explore, but more rather just an empty bonus level that was tacked on to the end of the main game. I remember growing up and it seemed like so many retro games would always add on a space level to the end of the game as a reward for finishing the main campaign. These levels often didn't fit the core tone of the game because such a drastic change in scenery, and it felt like the developers were just giving you something fun to do by going to outer space. I didn't mind these levels, but they certainly were not part of the main game. The same can be said for the Echoing Void. These levels don't fit the tone of the main game, and they feel like reward levels that are put in place to show off some new effects and some of the more powerful weapons and items in the game. The levels are meant to amaze you with their cool effects like flying, new powers, and just some rare chests throughout. You know, like bonus levels. But therein lies the disconnect. All the other Minecraft DLCs were fully fleshed out levels in the game that expanded upon the core experience. They felt like you were continuing the journey and you got to be immersed in this new landscape. The Echoing Void breaks that cycle and offers what I truly deem bonus levels for this game. Levels that are mostly empty except to show off new effects and give you some new powers. But let's break down the levels themselves. There are 3 new levels to explore: the Stronghold, End Wilds, and the Broken Citadel. However, you can't just jump into the DLC and play these new levels. You have to collect the 6 Eyes of Ender in order to access the DLC at all. These eyes are all scattered in new sections of levels from the base game, meaning you have to go back and play through 6 original levels to collect the eyes just to be able to access the DLC at all. When I bought the Echoing Void, I was expecting to play the Echoing Void, not old levels I'd already beaten for 2 hours beforehand. I feel like if you just started the original game with the DLCs all included, and you can collect the Eyes of Ender along the way, this would be an okay mechanic. But to force veteran players to retrace their steps for hours just to access the DLC at all, it's highly irritating. Once you have all 6 Eyes of Ender, you then head to the Stronghold where you place the eyes to open up the 2 levels of the Echoing Void. You can then finish exploring the Stronghold if you choose, but there's no core boss in this level. It's more designed just to offer you the chance to find some rare items, and rare they are, because this area is some of the best farming for the better items inside the game. But like I said earlier, this makes it feel far less like a core level, and more just like a bonus level attached onto the end game. You then journey into the actual Echoing Void, and while I'll admit the scenery is cool for this and I like the 80s sci-fi aesthetic, there's really nothing in these levels. The enemy variety is lacking and the scenery feels like it repeats itself throughout the entire experience. Vast platforms with a few bushes here and there and purple rocks occasionally popping out with the ability to fly between islands. No buildings to explore, chambers of kings, animals to find, just empty. I'll admit the flying between the islands was fun, but what am I flying to? Another empty island? They did jam-pack the space islands with enemies, however, that doesn't bring the world to life. In all the other DLCs, you hack your way through enemies to discover new and awesome areas. Here, you hack your way through enemies to find more enemies. The only puzzle mechanic in this level involved having this turret shoot a ball at you, and then you have to get that ball to follow you to an activation point. And they must have thought a lot of this puzzle, because they keep repeating it endlessly throughout the levels. The cleverness of puzzles from other DLCs like Howling Peaks it's long gone. You do find some great items this DLC, like the teleportation robe and the void touch blades, which are cool, and the final boss here, Vengeful Heart of Ender, is a phenomenal boss as well. Great boss phases, great boss aesthetics, and just hard enough to keep you pulled in. I'd actually rank this as one of the best bosses in the entire game. However, a few great items and an amazing boss is just simply not enough to cover the fact that the Echoing Void is just two very empty levels. I complained when I did the Creeping Winter review because that DLC felt empty because the ships, houses, and chambers, they didn't house anything inside them. But at least they had structures to be empty. The Echoing Void has none of that and is barren the entire time. Because of this lack of structure and just simply feeling like the levels are vehicles to find new items, it makes them feel once again like bonus levels to a core game instead of actual new levels. Now, how would I have fixed this DLC? Well, I'm glad you asked. First off, I would have gotten rid of the backtracking to the old levels to find the 6 Eyes of Ender. I would have made the first level of the DLC have the new flying mechanic and have the player fly to 6 different islands that all harken back to earlier areas from the Minecraft world, but with signs of infection with the purple rocks scattered about. You collect an Eye of Ender on each of the island, and then you fly to the next island to do the same. This would have brought back the memories of the past levels for a trip down memory lane and streamlined the collection process of the eyes. No annoying backtracking, and would have actually made you look forward to what the next island would reference back to. The second level could still be the stronghold to deposit the eyes and explore for some more powerful weapons to gear up for the final level and the epic showdown. The final level would be the Broken Citadel still. Throughout the level, you get to fight several of the earlier bosses in the game, leading up to the epic battle with the Vengeful Heart of Ender. I feel like this would have summed up what the game had been to players so far, and given them a truly epic ending for the experience. Now, while that's what I would have done for this DLC, I don't think that this idea alone was required to make a good final DLC. If they just expanded upon the scenery, added more interaction with the environment, and made the levels feel fuller, I think the DLC could have been a good bit better. But the exhausting backtracking to access the DLC in the first place, the lack of scenery and the level design, the Echoing Void, and just feeling overall empty, I think the levels come off feeling like that tacked on bonus level like I mentioned earlier. And that is why I think this is probably the worst Minecraft Dungeons DLC. But what did you think of the DLC? Did you feel it was a great conclusion to the story? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, go out there, find a great game to play, and just simply have a great rest of the day.